On this vote, the yeas are 217, the nays are 199. The bill is passed. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
A few moments later.
You guys, this is what I'm gonna wear on the battlefield when I get drafted for World War III. This is giving such World War III vibes already. Okay, you guys, so I finished my battlefield eyeliner, and I think it came out so good. It's giving me very, like, utopian Hunger Games vibes, Capital vibes. All my weapons are gonna go in here, and so when someone tries me on the World War III battlefield, I will pull it out and I will attack.
We're screwed. Peace everybody, it's your boy Let's Talk. We back with another video. Alright man, so just a few days ago, Congress just passed a new defense bill where every man from the ages of 18 to 26 will be automatically registered for the selective services. Now for those who don't know what that is, that's pretty much the government agency for the draft if they ever need to draft for some type of war or something. So they just passed this bill and a lot of people are running haywire. You got a lot of the Gen Zs just making all sorts of videos on TikTok saying how they're not going to go to the military if they're drafted. Now, if you don't know, if you're drafted and you don't go, then you're facing a 5-year imprisonment and or a $250,000 fine. And depending on what the circumstance is, you can even do both. And y'all don't know, that was the kind of the situation back in the day with Muhammad Ali when they was trying to draft him to go to the Vietnam War, but he didn't want to go and he had to, you know, take that hiatus from boxing for that long period of time. And that's where a lot of people were saying that he missed his prime years due to that fact, but he got a lot of respect because of it, because he stood on his ground. And now you got a lot of the Gen Z generations saying that if they try to do that to them, they pretty much going to do the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let these videos play out and we're going to react to the Gen Z generation saying how they're not going to go to war if they happen to be drafted. And I'm going to give my commentary and I'll give you my final thoughts at the end. All right, so let's see what they're talking about.
Oh, it's good.
Hello, sir. You've been selected to get drafted for World War III.
I'm not gonna lie to you, my boy. I'm not fighting no Russians, bro. You bugging.
Sir, I don't think you understand how this works. This is mandatory. You have to come.
Bro, I don't gotta do shit, bro. Like, I don't know who sent you over here saying I was gonna spin blocks for y'all, but it's not happening, bro. Came to the wrong house.
Sir, if you don't come with us, you're going to be arrested.
Alright, shit, you can take me. You're not saying nothing, bro. Like, I already got a couple bros that's locked up. I'm gonna be good regardless. Like, you're not saying nothing.
Sir, you could be an American hero fighting for freedom and your country.
Yo, bro, who said I want to be a hero, bro? I ain't want to be no hero, bro. If you want to go find a hero, you can go to the 35th precinct. Go find Officer Jenkins. He pulled me over for some bullshit. Since you want to be a hero, he can go fight some Russians. Me, I'm going to be here in the crib. I'm going to be playing 2K, all right?
Sir, you have to come with us. You have to come. You've been drafted.
Generation, and this is exactly their sentiments. A lot of these young kids, the kids between 18 and 26, the ones they're talking about that's going to be enlisted into the service, if it so happens they need to draft, a lot of these kids, they feel the exact same way. Like, they would rather go to jail than to serve. So he's not the first person who's saying this, and definitely not the last.
Gen Z is the wrong generation to threaten with a draft. Not only are we not doing that bullshit, do you really think we're scared of the repercussions of not going to war if you get drafted? First of all, y'all don't even have enough prisons to imprison people who don't want to go. Secondly, the majority of Gen Z is physically or mentally ill. And if we aren't, we sure will make ourselves. Because as a black man myself, what do I look like fighting for a country that don't give a damn about me? Silly shit.
And he's absolutely right. Most of the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha kids, they're not physically and mentally fit for combat. They wouldn't even know what to do in situations like that because they're so busy on playing their video games and trying to protest for certain liberties and rights and everything. When it comes down to a combat situation, they'll be lost in the sauce. But the crazy part about it is, if it ever goes down, they still wouldn't have no choice.
Yo, I'm gonna go ahead and
said, because you can't beat me, and if you tried, you ain't gonna win. But for those of you that are in between that age of 18 to 24, or the parents of those individuals in between that age, and y'all coming up on this app saying that you're not going to get drafted, you have a rude awakening because your ass is going. I just watched a lady on this here app say that if her child gets drafted, one, there's going to be an insurrection. Two, names and addresses of government officials are about to get fucking leaked. So I moseyed on into the comment section and I said, yo, yeah, the FBI is about to be at your front door. In which she replied, you sound silly. Well, ma'am, you're about to figure out sooner or later that freedom of speech is not so free. And that what you say can come back and bite you in your ass.
Very true.
And if you think for 1 second that they ain't watching this app, you're sadly mistaken. But I'm gonna go off on the deep end and say that some of y'all badass kids need to get drafted. Shit, a lot of them like to play with nowadays anyway. So hey, it's an extra incentive for them anyway. But hey, your ass is getting drafted whether you like it or not. And there's nothing you can do about it. Peace.
And he's absolutely right. If the government decide to come in and start drafting people, it really be nothing that people can do. People believe that they have rights and they can stand up for it, but when martial law start and everything, there's really be nothing people can do. And once they start arresting people, most of the other people they'll start complying because that's what most people does anyway. And the simple fact that he mentioned that most of these kids need to be in a draft or just be in the army because they need some type of structure because most of these kids out here like to play with guns and stuff anyway. I believe that's true. A lot of these kids out here do need some structure. They do need order. Now, I don't know getting draft going into war is a way to go about it, but just to have that basic training, just to become a man and learn what it is to take care of yourself and just have discipline, I believe the majority of these kids can benefit from it. So I think there is pros and cons to it. But like he said, if it happens, it'd be nothing no one can do about it anyway.
You guys, this is what I'm gonna wear on the battlefield when I get drafted for World War III. So you guys, these are so World War III vibes. The thing I'm gonna change into is this Nike t-shirt. I think it's gonna give me like extra strength and power because Nike is like so like running and like powerful. Like I feel like it's very sports vibe. So let's put this on. This is giving such World War III vibes already. So when I'm barrel rolling through the barbed wire in the trenches on the battlefield, I definitely want a good pair of shoes. And I think these Jordan 1 Mochas are gonna look so cute for my war fit. OMG, you guys, these are so cute. So next I really want a good fragrance because the enemies just might want to like, I don't know, spare me or something. Definitely want to wear a little makeup on the battlefield just to add that like extra cuteness. So I'm gonna go in with this green eyeshadow and I'm gonna do like a green liner. Okay, you guys, so I finished my battlefield eyeliner, and I think it came out so good. It's giving me very, like, utopian Hunger Games vibes, Capital vibes. And lastly, to pair my battlefield look, I'm gonna bring this green bag to store my weapons. So all my weapons are gonna go in here, and so when someone tries me on the World War III battlefield, I will pull it out and I will attack. But yeah, you guys, what would you guys wear on the battlefield in World War III?
The irony is, if anything should ever go down, there's going to be a lot of people on the battlefield with the mannerisms and the mentality just like him. So just be prepared.
So I'm looking on TikTok, and apparently our government passed a bill that said our boys, our sons, will automatically be registered for the draft from the age of 18 to 25, I believe. Excuse me. They will literally have to get the entire military to disperse into the entire United States to wrangle these boys up. Because when I tell you, the parents, me, all the parents out there of men, young men, that ain't It's look, now they've been able to get away with a whole lot of stuff, right? It hasn't been too much uprising. But let me tell you one thing, people gonna fight. They're gonna fight about. They gonna scrap. They're gonna be a good a sniper about. And that's their kids. We are not finna, especially us, are not finna let our young men go fight a war that we didn't ask for, we don't agree with, we don't want, for a country that don't like us. And I'm talking about everybody. It don't matter what color, that don't like us and thinks we're peasants. I think not. Luckily, my boy's not at that age yet, but I am sure that this rule is going to be here to stay. That probably ain't going nowhere. But I'll be doggone if my baby goes anywhere. Look, I don't know about y'all. The answer is no. My bad, y'all. Y'all know I'm getting over this sickness. Anyway, yeah, that's freaking nuts. And I think the biggest reason why so many people are against it is because now we see that we aren't the good guys. We aren't the heroes. We aren't the saviors. That in fact, we've been the menaces the whole time, the entire time. And nobody wants to fight for that. A lot of people are like not down with what the wickedness that we've divvied out to the entire world. And the whole patriotic, a lot of that's over. So.
She's absolutely right, because there's one thing about social media and internet is that it connects us all, and we get to see things that we normally wouldn't have been able to see 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And now a lot of people are hip to what's really going on in politics and what, as far as what's going on in foreign soil, and what our government is telling us, and who's the enemy and who's not the enemy. And a lot of people now are starting to see that, maybe America is not so much the good guys after all. So why would I want to go fight for something that's not a good cause? So she is absolutely right about that. But one thing that she does have to understand is that when the government says they want to do something and actually implement it in play, there's nothing really any of us can do. Now we can revolt, we can do an uprise, but not many people is going to go about it. So in the end, it wouldn't even take effect, because it would take all of us to be able to stand up against the government. And we're going to have so many people who's willing to comply, because you got some people who would choose security over liberty and freedom. So it's just going to be a downhill battle for the people who think that they just not going to just comply.
There's so many opinions over this draft stuff, and it's kind of concerning. A lot of people are talking about how they would rather not go to war and they would prefer to go to prison instead or pay a fine, which, in my opinion, isn't the best way to look at it. If you think about it, so if they wanted you to go to war, they would still have the liberty to do so because you are a prisoner of the state. So the logic of saying, I don't want to go to war, I would rather go to prison, just doesn't make sense. So the best thing for you to do, in my opinion, is just to serve your time, depending on how much time it is. You have to kind of think about it. You have free meals in the Army, you get clothing in the Army, and you get housing in the Army. You also get health care in the Army. I don't know about the health care you want in prison. I don't think that's what you want. Now, it's your choice. It's your life. Whatever you choose to do is all up to you, right? I'm just saying. It doesn't make sense to go to prison versus going into the military. Which branch are you going to go into?
Bingo, because she brings up a valid point, because it even says it in the Constitution that every man is a free man unless he be a prisoner of the state. So if you willing to go to jail because you don't want to get drafted, then furthermore, you'll be a prisoner of the state. Ergo, you'll be a slave. So if they really need people, they can actually force prisoners to go to war. Now, it's something they didn't do like in over 200 years or so, but if it was really dire, if it was like in some World War III situation, something that the world has never seen before, I'm willing to bet that the government would do something like that. And all the people who said that they're not going to go because they don't want to get drafted for whatever reasons, then those people who end up in jail, they're just going to go anyway. So When you think about it, it's going to be a lose-lose situation anyway.
Draft dodging is a federal crime? Not jail.
Have you managed Gen Z kids? You don't want that smoke. I'm talking to you, U.S. government. If you try and reinstate a draft, I'm going to tell you what will happen. You'll have so many conscientious objectors that your prisons will be overflowing. But the problem is, you have a bunch of kids who are very good at collective bargaining, very good at starting things. So what would be the first thing that would happen inside those jails that you would put these draft dodgers in? Oh, they would start a revolt, 100%. And then the Gen Alpha kids that, aren't in the draft will probably end up helping them. Yeah. These newer generations, don't fuck with them when it comes to oppression. Don't.
I would have to disagree with him because, like I said before, sure, we're going to have a lot of draft dodgers, but all those people who's going to prison, they're going to think they're going to try to start a revolt, and you got the families of the people who's going to go to prison and believe that they're going to start a revolt too, which in certain areas there might be a small pushback, but overall, like I said, in the grand scheme of things, the U.S. government is not going to go for that, and they're going to enforce martial law, and you're going to have majority of people is going to comply with it for the people to go to war because they're going to instill some type of narrative that we need this for to keep the world safe, to keep American soil safe. They might kick it if we don't do this, then it might be some type of something that happens over here that can be worse than 9/11. So I think a majority of people is going to have a rude awakening if this thing happens because the most people who believe they're going to push back, it's not going to go the way they think it's going to go.
A lot of people carry this sentiment in my comment section on that video where it's like, Gen Z is not going to join the military. Good luck with getting Gen Z to get drafted and all this other shit. And the question is not whether or not Gen Z or Gen Alpha, for that matter, are willing to join into military service. The question is whether or not the government is going to force these kids into military service.
Exactly.
And taking into consideration that our government has a monopoly on violence that it has been using increasingly so against its citizens, there is a very good chance that they're just going to force these kids into conscription. And that's something we should keep in mind, right? Like me personally, I think that the draft should be illegal. Like conscription should have been abolished in this country literally decades ago, and it's wild to me that it's still a thing. But then again, I am a lefty that believes that you shouldn't force people into war if they don't want to fucking go. And that's, utopian or whatever. So if we're taking into consideration like international relations and the global military climate, the DoD has been moving away from the global war on terror for some time now. That is to say that their focus has been less and less on the non-state actors in the Middle East and more on nation states like China, Russia, North Korea. But also, there are countries like Japan who are actively trying to rebuild their military.
Bingo.
And this might just be a feeling, but I don't think that that kind of move breeds stability on the global scale. I think it makes people a little bit on edge because everyone is wondering, why the fuck is everybody going for their gun right now? So eventually we are going to have conflict with another nation state, which means eventually the United States is going to need feet and boots on the ground somewhere.
Absolutely.
And if we have two generations of citizens that are very much anti-war, and the government can convince you to just comply on your own, what is the other option? Especially for a government that likes to use violence against its citizens. That's the shit that we need to be worried about. That's the thing that we need to keep in the back of our mind.
Yo, this Sister Cook, let's give her a round of applause. Yo, because she said everything that I was thinking, and she brought up a few good points. One, if y'all notice, lately these past few years, the war on terror seemed to be over. Like we're not worried about individual terrorism no more. It's all about conflicts, like she said, with other nation states. You got people like Russia going into the Ukraine. You got people like China threatening to come over here, and China and Russia is insinuating that they're going to join forces to do something to us, and with North Korea in the mix too as well. And like she said, also you got Japan that is looking to rebuild their army and their arsenal. So you got a lot of things that's happening globally right now to be worrying about certain little small stuff. So with that fact, and given the fact that we have a shortage of manpower, boots on the ground in our military, and we haven't had a draft since 1973. If something does go down, which a lot of people insinuating something can happen within the next few years, then the government is going to force that draft, and they're going to force people to go, whether they want to go or not. Like, it's just going to be what it is. So the sister, she actually brought up a very good point. And my final thoughts on all this is, I'm hoping that nothing happens. I'm hoping there's not going to be no war. I'm hoping there's not going to be any draft or anything like that. But if anything does happen, then we have to be realistic. We have a shortage of men and women joining our army today. We have expansion and abundance of nation conflict against nation. And the things that's happening with Russia and North Korea and China and Ukraine and the conflicts with Russia and America, then it's likely that we're probably going to need people. And if we're going to need people, what do you think the government is going to do? Just given the fact that the last few years, people were pretty much to take something that we really didn't need to take. So, I mean, come on, just be real, just use your brains. So, like I said, I hope nothing does happen, but if something does, then I think a lot of us is going to be in for a rude awakening. But we'll just have to wait and see. But that's all I got for now, guys. Let me know what y'all think. Drop your comments down below. Make sure I hit the like, subscribe, and hit the bell. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.